So since we last spoke, again, some more news. Hours after we spoke, Dana White comes out and says, we are back in business May 9th. We're going to put on this mega card, 3 title fights, location TBD, parts unknown. But this is what I want to ask you, not so much about the card itself, but what about what happened on Friday, DC? The card wasn't happening April 18th, right? We know that it didn't happen. Khabib, Tony, Justin Gaethje. Tony Ferguson actually cuts weight and makes weight for a fight that is not happening. How crazy is this?
Let me tell you something, Helwani. Tony Ferguson, different cat, right? But Tony Ferguson stepping on the scale at 155, that tells you how disciplined this man is. How disciplined is Tony Ferguson to get all the way down to the championship weight with nothing to gain. That is look, that's a boss move. I know Tony and I don't have the best relationship, but that is a boss move in a sense that why? You didn't have to do it. But
why? Is it a boss move if you ask why?
It is a boss move because it's harder to do something. It's harder to do something when there is no reward at the end. Tony was going to get on that weight, make that weight, suffer through the entire weight cut, and then go back to training. He did it just to show how disciplined and how in control of the entire situation he is. Everybody made a big deal about whether or not Khabib could make weight, whether or not Gaethje was going to be okay to make weight in 4 weeks. Remember, through all this, Tony Ferguson has had to continue to train, continue to prepare, continue to monitor and manage weight. He has done that to a T, even to the point that a week after the fight was called off, he still was able to just step on the scale. That's crazy. That is actually crazy because it shows the discipline. Most guys, when they hear a fight is off, they run to the nearest restaurant that serves their favorite food. Tony Ferguson stayed the course. And that tells me that come May 18th, May 9th, that dude is dangerous for anybody because he is so disciplined and so in tune with himself right now going into this fight. He went through quarantine and never got off track. It's crazy.
But isn't there something to be said for the fact that he's fighting in 3 weeks? Why go through a weight cut? Go through all that suffering. He weighed 179 pounds on Monday. Comes out what you're trying to say, but like from an actual strategy standpoint, from a health and safety standpoint, could you make the case that maybe this wasn't a smart move? Like, what's the payoff here? He wasn't getting paid for it.
You can't. I used to have the biggest, and I used to have the biggest issues with when I started going to 205, because remember at the Olympics, my kidneys shut down. So I was so afraid if I wasn't able to make the weight that I started doing these test weight cuts. And 3 weeks before the fight, I used to get to 208, 209. I was like, I needed to get low. And then I would just put the weight back on. And then the following week, I would get a little bit lower and I would put the weight back on. And then I would get down the weight. That was when I was afraid that I couldn't make the weight. Once the end, when I realized I could do it and I could suck the weight off, I didn't do those. And I wasn't as committed to doing those. But every time I did that, even though I put the weight back on, I was still like a few pounds lighter than I was going into it. And then my weight just kept dropping. And I believe now that Tony's come all the way down. On Saturday morning, he probably weighed 175 pounds, right? He probably weighed 175 after drinking as much as he wanted, eating as much as he wanted, but he didn't weigh 179. Do you understand? Now he's 4 pounds lighter as he's waking up, getting ready to go back into the weight cut. So it benefits him in that sense that now he's got 4 pounds less to lose. He's going to make weight easier this time. But I think more than anything, it speaks to the mental toughness of Tony Ferguson. That's really what that is. Now, I don't think anyone should question that. And I believe that if they do, it's misguided. It's very misguided because dude did something that most fighters won't do. And I'm telling you this right now, like, I love Khabib, but he wouldn't do that. He wouldn't make the weight for nothing. He wouldn't suffer through that for no reason. Conor McGregor, he would not suffer through that for no reason. Conor was willing to say, hey, great job, Tony, put the other guy on the scale, but he wouldn't have done that himself. He wouldn't have gone down to weight for nothing. All your favorite fighters, Israel Adesanya, even a guy that doesn't cut that much weight, wouldn't suck himself all the way down to scratch for no reason, because mentally it's so tough to do that. Guys don't do that. And Tony Ferguson just did that. That's a big deal.
I think there's around 500 fighters on the UFC roster. I don't know if there's 5 that would do that.
There's not 5. Unless, hey, there are some lower level guys that would do it if you told them they were getting some money. But again, there's reward at the end of the pot, right? For nothing. I don't know who would do that. I know I wouldn't have. If I was making, when I was making 205, I would not have sucked myself down to 205 for nothing. Why suffer without the reward or the ability to compete at the end of the rainbow? I think that was a massive, massive statement by Tony Ferguson. And I just think that he shows, man, that dude's in tune with what he wants to be. But when you ask me, Ariel, is it a boss move when there's a why? Why would you think something's wrong with what he did? I don't get it. Like from that other side, right? Because I'm sure you're not alone in that thought. Other people must feel the same thing. Why? Where's the negative you guys see in that?
Well, I know his whole team was saying don't do it because for the reasons you just laid out, there's no payoff. Like Tony's an incredible character. I mean, I was giving him props when we spoke on Friday because he's given us all this news over the past month. I mean, he's single-handedly carrying the MMA news cycle, and he's, I think, as a result, becoming a bigger star as a result of all this. But like, what's the reason behind it? Like, it is a real chore to get down from 179 to 155. And other than to make some news, other than to prove a point, I don't know if the payoff is worth it. I don't know if the risk is worth the reward. I don't know if the juice is worth the squeeze. You get what I'm saying? Like, why put your body through that when now you have to prepare for a fight that's 3 weeks? Which gets me, which makes me think, like, all right, if this fight would have happened on April 18th, and Gaethje was taking the fight on short notice, but Ferguson was steady, getting ready to peak on April 18th. Did you have a particular pick for that fight? And now that it's happening on May 9th, Gaethje getting more chance to prepare, more time to prepare, but Tony peaked and then has to come down and then peak again. Does it make you think that the fight will go differently? Do you get what I'm saying?
No, no. But Ariel, like, he has to come down, but just a little bit, right? It's not so far away. Like all these Olympic athletes, like we talked about before, we're doing this. Now they've got to just kind of crash back down to the ground. This guy needs to go like this and then a small decline, and then he can start building back up in the final weeks. He should take a week of just cardio, barely hitting his mitts and stuff. Maybe just do some jiu-jitsu because he enjoys that. And then in another week, get back to training and being ready. Look, I got to be honest, man. I think Justin Gaethje was a problem for Tony Ferguson to begin with. I think it's a dangerous fight. Maybe last week I said he should fight him. You were like, I don't know why he wouldn't just wait for Khabib. We talked about money and financials and all that. But, oh, no, this wasn't with you. I was having this conversation in my house. And he was like, one of my buddies was asking me, like, why would he fight? Why not just wait for Khabib? And I said, you don't know how he, all this stuff. Dude has a gym. He has a family. He has a house. Lives in Orange County. You don't know if he needs to fight. But this was always a dangerous fight for him. And I just don't know if 3 more weeks. Justin said he would be 90% for the fight when he was going to take it on 2 weeks. Now he has 5. He'll be ready to go. It's a tough fight. I don't know if my pick has changed from that point to now, but it's going to be a very difficult fight. I don't know who's going to win though. I know it's so evenly matched. And both of these guys are the two best matchups right now for Khabib in the lightweight division.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.